Hey YouTube, it's Marida and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. And in this edition, we have my daughter here who is we're going to actually talk about today some mother-daughter talk about education, about her upbringing, about the struggles of being a single parent and the like. So if you want to see what we're talking about in this mother-daughter talk, stay tuned. My name is Dr. Marida P, and we are back. This is my daughter Asia, and we are actually going to talk about some things that a lot of you may want to know. You know, this is the end result for me. So she is 22 years old. I had her when I was 20 years old. I'm 42 years old. And so we thought we'd just kind of talk about some things in terms of growing up, single parenting, education, why things like that are important to us. And in case you all have not followed my journey on IG, which I will have that tag listed somewhere on this screen, you will see that we both graduated this year. I graduated with my doctoral degree this year, and this is 2020, in case you see this in the future. And she graduated with 3 degrees in in 4 years. By the age of 21, technically, that she got her 3 degrees. So anyway, we're going to start with, I have my notebook here, as you can see. And so you will see me look down from time to time, and we're going to talk about our shirts at the end and learn a little bit more about our journey. So first I want to talk about the importance of education in our family. So I want to kind of go back in time and talk about that basically in our family, I come from parents who are now deceased, who basically my mom impressed the importance of having education because she did not have an education. My mother and father got pregnant at the age, she was 16, I think he was 18 when they got pregnant. And back in that time period, probably in the 40s, I want to say, the late 40s, no, early 50s, you got married. So if you got pregnant, you got married back then. And they made sure they had shotgun weddings and things like that. So that was important for that to happen for the namesake of the family. So therefore, having a baby, if you got pregnant, school was not an option per se. So she did not complete high school at all. I think she went to the 12th grade, and I think my dad went to the 10th grade. So he was already behind for some reason. So with that being said, they never got a formal high school education. They had 5 children. So they had my brother when she was 16. 2 years later, she had my second brother. 2 years after that, she had my sister. And 2 years after that, she had my brother. And then 18 years later, I was born. So when they finally figured out how this whole birth control thing worked, 18 years after my brother was about to go to college or the Marines, I think he was going to the Marines actually, I was born. So I was definitely a child that was not expected for them to have, and here we are. So that's kind of the story. So they never really had education, but they impressed the importance of education on us. I grew up as the only child because, again, like I said, my siblings were much older than I was. And my brother, that brother that we talk about, I'm 42 and I think he's about 60 or something like that. So again, I grew up by myself. So they really impressed the importance of education on me. Fast forward, I go to a high school that's relatively not the greatest, but it was fun. It was a great high school experience, but in hindsight, it was not a great environment to be in terms of education. And so therefore, I never really took education seriously because my mom didn't know how to really teach me or how to help me in school and things like that because she did not know how to help me. And as you all know, even in today's society, when you have children, I have a doctoral degree as we speak, and my son who was in the 6th grade or going to the 6th grade, I can't help them with half the stuff that they do because of the fact that they do things that are different than what I did in the 6th grade. So it's very difficult to actually do things like that. And so you can imagine if you have no education, how you're trying to help your high school child at that point in time. Or I don't say no education, but you have a limited education, how my mom was trying to help me and she couldn't. So therefore, she told me the importance of education, but at the same time, it was not like where she was making sure I was studying and things like that. I was probably A, B, C student. I always made A, B honor roll, but I would have a C here and there. I did not take it seriously until it was time to go to probably my senior year. And as you know, by the time it's your senior year, it's too late. So now I am roughly 18 years old. I meet a soldier. I graduated from high school in 96. I meet a soldier because I lived near an army base at the time. And anyway, we got together and we end up getting pregnant probably in 97. And then she arrived in 98. And so June of 98, and she was premature. She was actually born a month early. A month early. And it was due to me having high blood pressure and things like that. But nonetheless, here she was. When I told my mom I was pregnant, or when we told my mom I was pregnant, she was not pleased at all. And she said, "You have ruined your life," is what she told me. And I'm up here, not that per se happy I'm pregnant, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, okay. Not really understanding what I was getting myself into, what this means to have a baby. And so when she told me I ruined my life and I saw her disappointment, it was very difficult to kind of go through that pregnancy. And she was very supportive during the pregnancy. I'm not taking that away. She's very supportive. But when she said you have ruined your life, I was kind of like, wow, she's serious. And so now fast forward, June comes of the next year, the baby is here. We had the baby. And like I said, she's early. And so we're dealing with prematurity and things like that. So the one thing my mom really instilled in me is to make sure that I took care of my baby. So she would get up with me in the middle of the night and say, okay, you need to get up. She's crying. You need to feed her. And at this point in time, the father had decided that he did a whole solid week of parenting, and he was good with that. And we haven't really interacted with him much since. We've seen him here and there, but in terms of actually raising him or her and her sister, which is also his child, that was pretty much a solo deal until I got married. But anyway, that's not what this is about. We're not here trying to bash him or whatever. He didn't do anything and still not doing anything. And that's neither here nor there, because the end result was what we have here today. And, but growing up, trying to take care of a child and be a single parent was very, very difficult. And I'm going to have her speak on some of those things here in just a minute. But I just wanted you all to know the importance of why I say education is so important. Because it was instilled in me very early that, education is what gets you out of situations. It takes you places. If you don't want to live poor, get you an education, because that's the one thing that nobody can take away from you. So they can take your house. They can take your car. They can take everything away from you, but they can never take what's put up here. And I don't mean education in terms of like taking your degree away. Once you're educated, it's up here. And what you do with it is up to you. So once we were doing that, I was kind of like, you know what? Okay, I have this baby. I was already in school to get my degree in psychology. But truth be told, I had no real desire to do anything with it, because my dream job, honestly, was to go work at Dillard's. And I wanted to be a sales associate or whatever they call it at Dillard's. That was my dream job. And I don't know, I guess I was just getting a degree as a formality just to say I went and got an education, a college education, but I could care less about that. I just wanted to work at Dillard's and sell clothes and get the discounts and be cute. And that's all I really wanted to do. But then Asia comes along, and as Asia's growing up, and I'm kind of like, okay, this is not easy taking care of a baby by yourself. And then I remember even at one point, and she doesn't remember this because she was a baby, but I remember at one point even still going to the club. So I would have a daycare lined up where she went to a daycare at night, and the daycare was actually intended for working moms or working parents who worked overnight. But I would save one day just so I could go to the club. And I remember coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning, technically it was a Saturday night, Sunday morning, picking her up from the daycare, hair smoked up, short skirt, just having a great time at the club. At least I had somebody to take care of my baby. And I looked at that situation at that point in time, right then and there, and said, "This is not a good situation. You should not be coming into a place with a short skirt and this, that, and the other, trying to pick up your child from daycare." The only one that was there at 3 a.m., mind you, because I was too busy clubbing. And I decided at that point in time, right then and there, is trying to change from club mode to mom mode and be serious about being a mom. And she was probably only about 18 months old at that point in time, so she wouldn't remember that. But truth be told, that's kind of what made me say, okay, you know what? You're going to have to be a mom. You're going to have to not, you can still have fun, but you're going to have fun during daytime hours. You can't be having her out all kinds of night, just doing things that you have no business doing and having her in a daycare because you want to go to the club. So that brings me to the next thing. Having a teen pregnancy at 19, because technically at 19, you're still a teenager, legally an adult, but you're still a teenager. So having a teen pregnancy at 19, having her at 20, and, you know, the reality of being a single parent at that point in time, the struggle. And I have a video already up called Surviving Nursing School, surviving nursing school as a single parent, I think is the name of the video. And that video has really taken off. So definitely, if you are a single parent or you're going through some things, you want to know how to navigate that, definitely watch that video. That video was done about a year or so ago, and it was a hindsight video, how I survived it. So I'm telling you, you know, it can be done. And here's the result. So how hard it was difficult. You know, you're a single parent. I was living in low income housing at that point in time, and we had a roach infestation, not because of the fact that I was nasty, but if you live in apartments, you know that sometimes if it's low income at that, sometimes the everything feeds off of who lives around you, not necessarily what you do. So dealing with that and trying to keep our apartment clean and things like that, that was a true reality for me. I was 21 years old when I moved out on my own. My mom let me stay with her, and honestly, if she was still living today, she would still let me stay with her. That's what I wanted to do. But at 21 years old, I made a decision that me and my baby, which was just her at the time, was going to move into our own place because I wanted to be an adult and I wanted to have my own things. And I didn't want anybody to tell me what I could and could not do, when I could and could not come in. And I wanted to take care of my baby by myself. So at 21, I took my 10-month-old at the time, and we moved into our first apartment. And I was still going to school. And, you know, we've talked about my educational journey on this channel several times. But basically, I finished my psychology degree and realized this was not going to work taking care of a baby, or at the time, 2 girls. And so I ended up transitioning into nursing the very next year. So I graduated in 2000, and she was born in 98. I finished, well, as a timeline, 1996 is when I finished high school, graduated high school in 96. I got pregnant in 97, had her in 98. I graduated from my BS in psychology in 2002 and started nursing school that same year, 2002. And then graduated from that in 2004. 2008 was my master's, and of course 2020 is the doctorate. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to, you know, talk about our history first, so you'll know where we're coming from when we talk about what's about to happen or what happened over the past 22 years. So I told you I had goals for her. I knew at that point in time, if I was going to have a daughter who was going to do something great, and I needed to make sure that, you know, she knew she had a good foundation. She had a good education. So I put her in preschool. I put her in preschool at age 3, and honestly, up until last month, she's been in school since. Okay, so she's been in school from age 3 to 21. She just graduated last week, actually. And I'll insert some pictures here. Anyway, she's been in school since 3 to 2021, and so you see the importance of education, and we push that. I push that and push that and push that. So now we're actually going to change gears here, and we're going to let her talk a little bit about her perspective growing up. Before I do, my goals for her was to have a better life than I had, and I am going through a divorce as we speak. And I'm happy about that. So that's nothing to be sad about. But she has seen those struggles in terms of a bad relationship or bad relationships. She has seen all those things to know what not to do. So I have definitely been the poster child of what not to do, as well as what to do in terms of, okay, this is how you turn the situation around. So now we're gonna switch directions, and we're gonna have her share her perspective from growing up. This is Asia.
Where should we start?
So maybe let's start with from your perspective only. How hard was it growing up under initially a single parenthood, and then with a stepfather who was different?
Well, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yes.
Honestly, it didn't really affect me much until I got older and was able to really think about what was happening. When I was younger, I mean, I was just a kid. I didn't really. My biggest concerns were like friends and that I wore glasses. Like that was all I was worried about. But then I guess as I got older, maybe high school, I realized people have like two parents, and that's like normal. My normal isn't everyone else's normal. And I guess I think right around when I was in the 10th grade, my dad actually reached back out to us, and that was really bizarre because I hadn't talked to him in ever really, and he's trying to pretend to be interested when I was 14, 15, I don't know how old I was, and it was really weird. And like I said, I don't, it's not something I think about often, but when I do really think about it, like, oh, I won't have anyone to walk me down the aisle if I ever get married, so I'll probably just ask you, or Willie, my uncle. So when I really think about it, it kind of makes me sad, because I feel like I missed out on some key, like, things growing up from, like, a male perspective. Like, I don't know, just how a man is supposed to treat a woman, I guess. My stepdad was great when I was younger. He was I loved having him around. He was the fun parent. Yes. My mom was the strict parent who was really focused on grades and being good. My stepdad was like, let's watch Family Guy, you're 8. So it was fine growing up. He took me to my dance classes. He'd take me out to eat. We'd go to get fast food sometimes. So like when you're young, that's all you really want, like in a step parent, just them to be nice to you, take you places. So it was fine growing up. And then, like I said, I didn't really start thinking about how bad the situation was until I was a little bit older. Specifically with my stepdad, like I didn't realize how much of a child he was until I got older. Like not even really when I was in high school, college, when I really realized, oh, he's not doing good. He's not. This isn't what a man should be. This isn't what I want. This is what I want for a man. It's not what my mom would want either. So I mean, when I was younger, it didn't bother me. I didn't think about it. It didn't affect me at all. But like I said, I didn't think about it until I got older. So, but overall, I mean, I think I had a good childhood. Like, we went on vacation, like, every year. That's something some people don't even do. We had cable. We ate all the time. Like, I think I had a really good, privileged childhood in some aspects. And then in other aspects, I kind of wasn't. But I think that's okay. It's normal. I think overall, I've grown from the mistakes my mom has made. Like, I think I've learned, like she said, I learned what you shouldn't do. And really, with my stepdad, I've learned how you shouldn't treat people, like regardless of gender, like how you shouldn't treat your boyfriend or girlfriend, or really how you shouldn't treat people in general. Like he was very immature, and I don't know. My brother is more mature than he is in some ways. And I just realized
he's 11.
Yes, he's very young. So I guess just now I realize just how bad of a person he was at times, but still when I was younger, that doesn't take away what he did when I was younger. So I really value that because, like I said, I didn't have a dad, but with him, taking me to dance classes, just driving me around places, picking me up from school, he went to my high school graduation. There were some parts where he was a good stepfather, and I still appreciate that, and nothing's going to take that away. So that's my perspective.
And so if you've seen my my narcissistic marriage videos type of thing, this is kind of what I was alluding to when I told you he did he was very good when they were with the girls. As a matter of fact, he's always treated the girls better than he treats his own biological sons, which I do not understand that. Not that I want him to treat one better than the other, but typically you would think they would treat their own children better than they do their stepchildren, but he did an excellent job. So this is not going to go into that video, but again, my point is, none of us saw this. None of us saw the reality of who he was when they were younger. He was combing hair, not necessarily for her, because I think we had her braided, but for the youngest one, he was combing hair. He was taking her to dance class. And speaking of which, even as a single parent, I want to go back to that when she brought up the fact that we took vacations. She was in dance class. she actually did dance into her senior year. So we did dance every single year from age 8 to age 18. 10 years she did dance. That was very expensive, by the way, but we did dance, you know. And so we did whatever she wanted to do when she got interested in clubs at school. If we could do it, if we could afford it, or whatever situation was, we try to make it happen. The one thing I did not want her to feel, her and her sister to feel, was that because their biological dad didn't bother, that they never got to do anything. And so when she was 13, we took her, not just her, all the kids, to Disney for her birthday, though. We went to Disney for her birthday at 13 years old. And so that was fun, because I have never been to Disney ever been to Disney. And so, you know, for her to go on Disney, I never wanted her to think that she could not have a life, because my dad, because he was never around, we never got to do anything. We had to sit in the house. We struggled with this, that, and the other. We did struggle. We have struggled. We've struggled. But at the same time, I wanted her to have a life where she could say, okay, you know what? When she reflects, as she is doing now, that she's been to Disney, she's did the things that other kids do. She's had a phone. She's had everything that every other child has had. But like she just told you, I'm strict. My husband, soon to be ex-husband, was very much the playful one, like let them do whatever they want to do. I'm like, no, no, no. She's had to work for everything. I don't believe in giving kids anything. You have to work for it. So she's worked for everything she's had. If she had a, or because she has did what she has done, she was given things or done things because she deserved them, not because she was entitled to it. And that's something I don't believe is entitled kids. Like, you know, I was never entitled. I was spoiled growing up. I have to admit, I was spoiled growing up. And so therefore I was like, okay, you know what? And even today I have friends, male friends, who are like, you are so spoiled. Still today. If I'm spoiled today, I was spoiled back then. It started from somewhere. My parents. Okay. So, you know, and so I want them to grow up having the things that they wanted to have, but at the same time, they had to work for them. So that's her perspective growing up. And the next thing I want to talk about was why education. We talked about why education is important to me, because like I told you, education is important to me because of the fact that it gets you out of situations. It creates options. As you've watched my nursing videos on why I have a doctorate or why I got this, that, and the other, because it gives me options. I'm able to do things I was never able to do before because I have options. Partially because of COVID and everything that's going on with that, we haven't been able to do anything. But contingent upon, again, COVID, we're both graduated now. We're both done with school. For me, I'm done for the most part. She's taking a break, hopefully, for at least a year or so. But we are planning to start traveling again. That's one thing we used to do all the time. We have been to the beach. We went to last year. We go to the beach every year. We haven't been this year because of COVID and because of school, but we're planning on going to the beach later this year, depending on COVID. But that's one thing we enjoy doing, getting out and living our lives. And so education indirectly allows us to do that. Because why? Because we have more money to do the things we want to do. We're living a different kind of lifestyle. I just started my full-time job in academia it's been a week now. And I can already tell you this is going to open up doors for me, which means I can take care of my children better. She's living on her own at this point in time, but you know, she's here visiting this week. This is why we're doing the video, or this weekend. So now we're going to talk about why education do you feel is important to you?
Well, I pretty much got all my opinions on education from you. It's just, like you said, it opens up doors. You have more opportunities if you have more education. Like, if I had stopped after high school, I mean, I was working at Kohl's during college, and it was fine. It was a great entry-level job, you know, getting paid $9 an hour. But in order to progress, you have to have an education, I think. Like, if I like retail enough to maybe, like, go into management, I need a degree for that, you know, to, like, go to management at Kohl's or something if I want to do retail. Plus, you know, like you said, education just opens up more doors. You have more opportunities. And I also kind of wanted to stress, in my opinion, is not necessarily, you know, college isn't for everyone. Like my uncles, her brothers, they went to the military, and that's like a great way to just move, I guess, what's the word? Kind of progress in life. Because I think the military does pay for education, and plus you can progress in the military, and they can end up paying for your education. So I think education doesn't have to be, you know, a 4-year degree going up to your doctorate if it's not for you. Like at my high school, they really stressed college, a trade school, or a full-time job, or something like that. Something that gives you options, because, you know, a trade school, like for maybe plumbing or mechanic work or something, that's still a career. You can definitely make some good money off that. So And actually, right now, my current job is a success coach at my university, and it's helping students, first time college students or low income students, kind of graduate, because it's just proven that college graduates make more money in their lifetime compared to high school graduates. And with low income students, it's just not as much of a possibility to graduate. So really, my entire job is just helping students graduate, and I love my job. It's only been 2 months, but I love my job. Because yeah, college is, I think, or education in general is just very important. And I think for low income students, it's really one of your only opportunities to progress in life, if that makes sense. Because really, if you like work in a factory your entire life, you might enjoy that, and that's fine, but you won't be going anywhere. So I think education, like you said, just really opens doors and it gives you more opportunities to just live your life and just do fun things with your life. Because I think life isn't just about working or, even going to school, but life is about having fun, making memories, and just enjoying it in general. And education is a good way to like make that happen.
Right. So she's talking about the work-life balance that I often talk about on my channel. And she's correct. I've never, I've always pushed education, but she's absolutely correct. Education or college, the traditional role of going to college is not for everyone. And people have often asked me, a lot of my coworkers have asked me, am I pushing her to be a nurse because I'm a nurse? Okay. Absolutely not.
Oh no, I don't ever want to be a nurse. I don't like blood. I don't like dealing with people like that, like their medical issues. I can't be a nurse. I can't do anything medically related. So no, she's never pushed me to be any one thing. Something I remember from my childhood, she's always said, I don't care what you do as long as you're happy, as long as you're good at it, as long as you're, paying your bills and stuff. So like I wanted to be a chef at first. That was like my dream since I was 8 years old, and she really pushed that. So yeah, I've never felt like I had to be a nurse because I wouldn't make a good nurse, first of all. So yeah, she's never pushed me with that.
And I would never with any of my kids. And the one thing she speaks of, like when she talked about the culinary thing, she took just as a history, her father was a cook in the Army. So that's where she gets it from. It's innate. So this is not something she's seen me do in terms of I love being in the kitchen, because that's not my thing at all. But where it comes from is her father's side, where it's in the DNA. Matter of fact, he still cooks today. And so that's where she gets that innate desire from to be that. And so even at 8 years old, she scrambled her eggs for the first time, and then we took off from there. And so I started enrolling her in like young chefs academies and things like that. Anything that I needed to do to foster whatever she wanted to do. And so I even had her research at one point in time how much this job makes, is something that you really want to do, how much school you have to have, so on and on and on. And even in high school, she went to her high school had a culinary program within it. So it had a 4-year culinary program in it to set her up for college culinary. And things changed for good reasons, really. But I've never pushed them to do anything that they did not want to do. My oldest son, he wants to be an engineer. So the same thing with him. I'm like, okay, you want to be an engineer? So let me go ahead and get you into STEM programs and do STEM. We have Lego clubs here. Everything we do, I kind of push them into what they really want to do. My baby wants to be a firefighter. So I've taken them to the fire station, and I, had them see the trucks and get on the trucks and hear the sirens and have a talk about what firemen do and all that, because I want to foster whatever they want to do in life. It's not necessarily what I want them to do, because it's not my life. My mom never pushed me to do anything. She just wanted me to be successful. I wanted to be a pediatrician in the 5th grade. I wanted to be a pediatrician, and it didn't work out that way. And sometimes you have to understand what you start off doing is not what you end up doing, which is perfectly fine. I still became a doctor nurse, but at the same time, it's just one of those things where I never pushed her to do what she wanted to do. Whatever she wanted to do, I just like, let me help you get there. And then fortunately for her, because education was so important, because of the fact that I pushed the importance of good grades, pushed the importance of studying, I wanted her to not go through what I went through in high school. And I purposely selected schools for her that would foster her getting a scholarship, if you will, or something like that. And I think you end up getting like 5 scholarships.
Yeah, I didn't have to pay for school at all. I mean, I paid for books out of pocket, but other than that, all my tuition was paid for because of scholarships and grants and stuff.
So she got 5 scholarships because she had, let me tell you something I didn't even know. She got over a 4.0 in high school. I didn't even know you could get beyond a 4.0. Like, I never knew in high school that the thing went beyond even up until when she finished high school. I never knew it went beyond a 4.0. And so she took AP classes. She took all kinds of classes. Her in the 8th grade, her ACT composite was, I think, 25. Was it ACT?
25, yeah.
It was 25. Like it was the highest in the school for the 8th grade. So she, again, I pushed and pushed and pushed. She had to do work when she was 3 and 4 years old. I had her doing workbook pages.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She did.
Workbook pages.
In the summer.
In the summer. Pages. And my boys, unfortunately, they have to tell you the same thing. They do workbook pages in the summertime. This summer's been kind of lax because of the whole COVID thing and just kind of letting them just kind of be boys a little bit. But, yeah, they have to work. They did workbook pages from the age of 3. Every summer they did workbook pages. Every day they did about 5 pages per day, and I'm up here helping them do those pages because I wanted them to be successful. And so, like I said, in high school she took AP classes. She had a very high composite score on the I think almost perfect in English. I think 32. I think it was.
It was 32, 34. It was something high.
It was very high to the point where she got 6 hours of college credit for English. So we never paid. So she went to college with English 101 and 102 college credit already. So she graduated from high school with a 4 point something GPA, and then already had 6 hours of college credit when she went to Austin P, which is where she went for college. So again, education has been something I've been driving from day one, pretty much. Or at least early on. Maybe not day one, but early on. All right, so the next thing is, I can't even read my own writing. Oh, so I put culinary in high school. Okay, so this is what happened. Well, I'll let her tell what happened. Let her talk. So tell them what happened as to why you went from culinary and ended up doing psychology.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned earlier, I was really interested in cooking from like age 8 on. My high school had the culinary arts program. We entered national competitions, and I really loved cooking. So in college, I went to school for cooking. It was a 2-year culinary arts degree, and it was okay. The cooking part was fine. It was just the general college experience it was interesting for my program. It wasn't a true college experience because my classes were all at night, and all my classmates were people in their 40s and 50s. So I couldn't really socialize with my classmates or like make friends because they had kids my age, so they didn't want to hang out with me. But I still loved cooking. I still love it to this day. But essentially, long story short, the way financial aid works in college, like I was taking classes for my bachelor's degree at the same time I was taking classes for the associate's degree because I knew I wanted to go ahead and continue on, so I was taking both classes at the same time. Well, I eventually reached like the maximum time frame for the associate's degree, so I was taking too many classes and they didn't want to pay for it. So my options were either continue with the associate's degree in culinary arts and then lose all my scholarships, or pursue a bachelor's degree and continue and keep my scholarships and grants and stuff. So obviously I chose to continue to keep my scholarships. I needed that to go to school. I couldn't pay for it otherwise. So I actually chose like hospitality management. So it's kind of related to culinary arts. It's just like managing a hospitality establishment. And I ended up double majoring that with psychology. And I enjoyed the hospitality management classes, but I liked psychology more. My mom, like she said, she majored in psychology, and we kind of like had talks here and there about like just interesting psychology facts. And I just loved psychology. I thought it was interesting. And in high school, I took AP psychology, and that was my favorite class throughout all of high school. So I was like, I like psychology. Let's just see what this can take me. So I really participated in my psychology classes. I kind of really got to know my professors, and I realized that this might be something I really want to do. So I did graduate this May with a bachelor's in psychology and a bachelor of professional studies in hospitality management. But I think I am leaning towards the psychology part just because I've been told I'm a good listener, and I know there's more to being a good psychologist than just listening, obviously. But it's something I definitely want to pursue at least. I do know the director of the counseling program at my university. I do know her personally. So I was going to talk to her and just see, if this was right for me. So that's kind of how I went from culinary arts to psychology. I still really enjoy cooking, and I do a lot of cooking just on my own at home. But I definitely think I made the right decision in terms of switching over, for one, because losing all the scholarships. But also, I'm just looking back, I don't think I would have made a very good, I don't know, the idea of starting from a line cook and just going out working out to being a chef just doesn't appeal to me anymore. I just don't want to do that anymore. It doesn't appeal to me, and I know I'd be under, I guess, the restaurant's rules. I won't be making my own recipes until I get to be a chef. So I like cooking as a hobby now. I think I'm having a lot more fun with it. I can really explore more if I'm just cooking as a hobby for my family and friends. So that's kind of how I went from culinary arts to completely different in psychology.
And so, as you can see, I get to live vicariously through her because of the fact that that was my goal to do what she's trying to do. But because I had her and her sister at the time, I had to make a change because, and we've already had this talk, she already knows that you cannot make money with a degree in psychology, a bachelor's degree in psychology in itself. You have to go on. And so she knows it already. Me, on the other hand, I didn't know that. And no one was in my corner. And to my mom's defense, she could not teach me something that she did not know. So I'm not downing her at all. It has nothing to do with her. It was just that sometimes as parents, if you could talk to your kids and say, okay, this is what you have to deal with, or this is how it's going to be. And if they still want to do it, that's fine. So for me, if I had known that I wasn't going to be able to get anything with this degree, I may or may not would have chosen psychology to begin with. But truth be told, I still love psychology to this day. You never know. You know what? We may end up going back to school together so I can finish my master's degree. I have a bachelor's in psychology. She has a bachelor's in psychology. My sister actually has a bachelor's in psychology. So psychology is just something that's in our family. We like how people think, I guess. I don't know why we like it, but how people think. We don't like the crazy psychology, though. People think because I'm a nurse that I want to do mental health psych. No, I don't like crazy. I don't like schizophrenia. We don't like stuff like that. We like, we understand why people act the way they act. I think for psychology, it's truly helped me in nursing tremendously. Like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, not to go into a psychology course, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Nobody's thinking about paying bills if you don't have food and shelter. Nobody's credit cards is getting paid if you don't have the money for food and shelter. You could care less about that because that's not where your processes are. And we understand that. One issue I had with my husband when it comes to child development, because I've taken a child psychology class, and I'm sure Asia's taken a child psychology class. Children act the way they act because that's how they act. It's our job as parents to kind of, redirect them into where they need to go. 2-year-olds throw tantrums because 2-year-olds throw tantrums. That's where they are developmentally. If you know about Erickson's stages, those of you who take psychology or nursing, you know about Erickson's stages because psychology is required, well, for our program, it's a required course for nursing. You know that people act the way they act. How people act in their 20s versus how people act in their 40s. And what's expected, what's the norm. So in my 40s, I should be in a point where I'm looking more about, kind of look at my career, where I want to go. I'm not really thinking about retirement per se yet, but it is in the back of my mind. Like, you need to be getting ready for retirement. Whereas Asia ain't thinking about retirement in her 20s. However, we have discussed that, okay, you want to have a plan for your do you have a 401k? Does your job have this? Does your job have benefits? What are you doing? So I'm wanting her to go ahead and think about retirement way before I even thought about it, because of the fact that, okay, she could be a millionaire if she starts setting money aside now versus me starting now in my 40s. I have a 401k already. I've had a 401k. But that's kind of what we're talking about here. Education is not just about formally going to school either. Education is really about knowing how to live and govern your life accordingly to the life that you want to have. If she wants to have an abundance of money and resources and time, then she has to do things a certain kind of way. And not to kind of get off into this, but we've talked about too, not having babies very young. And we're not going to get into all the whole birth control thing, but I'm an advocate for birth control if you're going to be doing things you shouldn't be doing. Oh, well, I don't say shouldn't be doing. If you're wanting preventing a pregnancy, okay? Because I was on birth control. I was not trying to have her. But for me, it didn't work. It did not work. And I took it every day like I was supposed to. But because of my struggles, we have had that talk about, okay, it is not easy taking care of a baby or babies in your 20s. And so she's already done better than me, because at 22, her age, I had her and her sister at 22. At 21, she had 3 degrees and no babies. So that's why it's important to have these talks about everything, the struggle of what I went through, the struggle of the struggle of single parenting, the struggle of having to figure out how to go to school and have small kids, the struggle of going to school at night, taking night classes. I took night classes. She went to a satellite campus of Austin P, where they have night classes. I went to that same school as well. When I had her, I went to a satellite campus, and the classes were at night. So I had to find sitters for her so I can go to class at night. And matter of fact, I ended up dropping out of school. So not to take you all the way back, but I ended up dropping out of college because I got pregnant with her. And I dropped out for maybe 2 semesters. And then after I had her, I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to get this together. I'm gonna have to go back to school. So I started taking night classes, and a matter of fact, all my classes I had F's in them because I never went back to school. So I never withdrew the proper way. So I had a GPA of I think 0.38. I don't know, 1 point. It was bad. I had F's. So I had to go on a fresh start program. I had to go back and take classes at night. I repeated all my classes to get those F's changed to actual real A's and B's and C's or whatever I had to get, so that I could make it out of the situation I was in. So I did everything initially I had to do. I didn't do it for me. I did it for her because I said, okay, I have to have a better life for her. I can't have this kind of life. My point to you all as we're wrapping up this video is that it was a struggle. People often think that we're sisters, like I'm her older sister. I'm not her mom. But when we talk, they'll know that, okay, definitely she's the mama. But, you know, it's one of those situations where we have struggled. I went to Austin P State University. We both are now graduates. We're now alumni. We got our shirts. We are now alumni of Austin P State University. She followed in my footsteps, not because she necessarily had to go to Austin P, but that's who was offering her. Why did you go to Austin P?
The money.
Yeah, that's who's offering the money. So, like, you know, Austin P, did you apply to other schools too?
No.
No,
because the culinary program. That's what I went to school for. No one else had one that was close and affordable.
That's what it was. And so that's why we chose Austin P. But it ended up that we chose Austin P. And, one other thing we forgot to mention. I've always believed in her having opportunities to volunteer. So I don't believe in children just not knowing how other people are, how to live and things like that. So my job, the hospital that I just quit, had a volunteering program. And the volunteering program was basically for kids to really kind of get into healthcare, to be honest with you. I think that's the premise of the program, was to get into healthcare, and they could just shadow different people and volunteer and, file papers and run errands and things like that and be more acclimated to the hospital. However, we ended up putting her in the kitchen. So she was pretty much, so tell how that went, that you went to the kitchen.
Yeah, I think I was how long did I do the program? 3 years?
3 years.
Yeah, I was in the kitchen all 3 years. My mom knew the director of the volunteer program very well, so she just put me in the kitchen just in all my shifts. And I loved it. Like I said, I wanted to be a chef, so I just loved being in the kitchen, just serving people. Most of my job was just serving the people in the hospital, for serving them lunch. And I just really enjoyed just talking to people, just serving people. It was a really fun experience. And then afterwards, there was a competition. There was a scholarship I applied for, and I ended up getting it. And I pretty much got it because I kind of told them my story about how I wanted to be a chef and just my mom being supportive and everything. So I ended up getting a scholarship from that volunteering program, and that was $500.
It was $1,500.
Oh yeah, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. So it was really beneficial because like I said, my school was completely paid for all 4 years, so I didn't have to worry about how I'm going to pay for tuition. I just had to worry about like my books, and that's it. So the volunteering program was very beneficial and very helpful. And sometimes when we go to the hospital, we still run into the director of that program and we just say hi and just let her know how we're doing. So it was a really good program. I really liked it.
So basically, I connected her with people I needed to connect to her to kind of facilitate what she wanted to do in life. And again, this is not it kind of is toot your own horn kind of video, because if you don't toot your own horn, nobody else will. This is I wouldn't call it a rags to riches story because we're not rich by any means, but definitely it is a testimony of what I endured, and as a result of what I endured, here is the outcome, is what I'm trying to say. So you could start off having a bad life. You could sit there and have children out of wedlock. You could have all these kids, you don't know how to take care of them, single parent. But if you stay focused and stay driven and determined this is what you're going to do, this is what the outcome is. So one thing I want to ask you, how did it feel, or what did it look like to see me continuously go to school after the fact? So like you remember, how far back do you don't remember psychology probably. Do you remember that? Do you remember nursing?
I don't think think so. I think the earliest memory I have is when going to a graduation in 2008, honestly.
Was my master's degree.
Yes.
So like when I finished nursing school, which she came to every graduation that I had, but when I finished nursing school, I want to say I was in 2004, so she had to be, about 6, and my other daughter was about 4. And that was a struggle, going to nursing school and finishing 6 and 4. So she went to that graduation. So she probably don't remember being dropped off here, there, and the other for clinical. When I had to go to clinicals, I had to drop her off at the daycare at 6 something in the morning. They would actually open early for me because they knew I was trying to do something in my life. The daycare was a blessing to me. They opened up early for me, and the director would come in and just sit there for 30 minutes early so I could go to clinicals because she knew I was wanting to be a better mom to take care of my girls. So that was a struggle. So what was it like, I guess, watching me going from my master's and now the doctoral degree?
I honestly didn't think about it. The only thing was you were just always in school. No one else's parents was like always in school. You're always doing something for school. So that's really the only thing that really stands out to me.
Okay, so now we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about future plans. So now you've graduated with 3 degrees, and this is 2020. In case you all watching this in the future, she's 22 years old now. What are your future plans?
I don't know. I'm kidding. I do. So with this current job I have, essentially when I'm done, it's a contract year of service. I can do up to 2 years. So I plan on doing 2 years of this job, and they actually pay for your school. So they give you it's called an education award at the end of your service. So it's $5,000. It's about $6,000 for 1 year of service. So after 2 years of service, that's about $12,000. So my plan was to use that money to go back to school. I want to finish my culinary arts degree if I can, if it's possible. I want to finish that and then maybe start on my master's. My immediate plan was to start as a non-degree seeking student and just take an entry level, a 5,000 level intro to counseling class or something, just to see if I want to do it, because it'll be paid for, just to see if I'm really interested in that before I spend all this money getting into this program and then realize I don't like this. So that was my immediate plan. And then after that, I truly think I will enjoy it. Because my plan after that was just to be a graduate student and get my degree in Master of Counseling at Austin P. After that, I think honestly my eventual goal, I'd love to open my own practice. 40, 50 years down the line, because I think mental health
50 years.
I don't know how long it takes to open your own practice, but my goal.
She's gonna be 60 in 40, 62 in 40 years.
You're right.
No, you're gonna do it before then.
Really, I think mental health is very important. It's something, especially now, in this quarantine, we're all kind of realizing, your mental health is important. Mm-hmm. I do think, especially with young people my age, it's just not something that's discussed as often as it should be, because really your mental health is kind of the core of everything else. If you're not doing well up here, you're not going to do well at anything else. If you're, having anxiety issues, if you're depressed, you're not going to be doing well in school. You're not going to want to go to school, right? You're depressed. So really my goal is to help young people on a college campus, just help them deal with their problems and deal with their stress and manage their stress. I think if you give young people the tools they need to manage their stress and just manage their anxiety, whatever the problem may be, they can grow up to be more productive adults because they know how to handle these issues that come up in their life. Because life isn't easy. There's never going to be a smooth sailing period. It's always going to have something come up that's going to kind of throw you for a loop. So I really think if you kind of give young people the tools they need to help themselves, they will utilize those tools. So my eventual goal is to be a clinical psychologist. I do plan on getting my doctoral degree eventually. I don't plan on stopping with my master's, because I think for the most money I want to make, I need to get that degree anyway. Plus, why not? Might as well just continue, right? So that's my hopefully future plans.
So you heard it from her. She's going to pursue her doctorate at some point in time in the future. So she's going to be a doctor, whatever her last name is by then. And that's wonderful. So again, I'm a doctor nurse. She's going to be a doctor psychologist. And again, for you all to understand that doctor does not mean physician. Okay. Doctor means you have the highest degree earned in that field choice and that career path, that specialty area, so to speak. So that's what her future plans are. My future plans, I've kind of discussed on this channel time and time again. I'm going to get some certifications. I already have my doctorate. I just got that in, I actually finished in May, but I graduated in June of this year, 2020. And you never know. I've always wanted to finish and pick up back on psychology. That's something that I've always really wanted to do. I've said that time and time again. I was like, let me go back and see about just psychology. That was my first love. Psychology was my first love. Nursing has never been my first love. It's what I love it now. Don't get me wrong. I love nursing now. But psychology definitely was my first love. And you never know. We may end up going to school together. Well, I don't know when she's going to school. But we may go to school together. We finished together in terms of the same year of our degrees. But we may go to school together. You never know. We're going to have to take a 2-year break, though, because I'm tired right now. So maybe in 2022, we may be starting our master's degree in psychology. We'll have to look into that. That's going to be interesting if we do that. But anyway, so now let's talk about the pandemic and how does it feel to have to graduate in the midst of, how was graduation for you this year?
The actual ceremony, or just like in general?
In general, that and the ceremony, all of it.
Well, it was really stressful actually because I was really looking forward to my senior year of college. You know, I was doing a lot of things. I had an internship. I was volunteering. I was on campus. But when the quarantine started in March is when it hit here. Everything just stopped. Like, I got furloughed from my job. Classes were all online. My internship was over. I didn't have a volunteer anymore. So I was just sitting at home doing nothing. And it was, except schoolwork. And it was terrible. I was just so bored all the time. So overall, I'm kind of disappointed in my senior year because I just couldn't do a lot of things. We didn't have a huge, graduation ceremony with all the graduates. It was just people from my college and a few other colleges. So it was a very small ceremony.
Proceed to reason this topic. Graduates, please rise by row and proceed to the platform.
Asia K. Ace, magna cum laude. Derek J.
I missed out on a few events that were canceled because of COVID. I studied abroad in college, went to Trinidad, but there was going to be like a study abroad just event celebrating all the graduates in May, but that was canceled. Everything was canceled. So my senior year was very disappointing, but I graduated, so that's what matters. I got the degrees. And really, I feel very blessed and lucky that I have a job right now during quarantine because there's so many people who graduated in May, and what are they doing now? It's not their fault. Everything is closed. Maybe the career just isn't hiring right now. Just everything is kind of stopped for a lot of people. So I feel so blessed and lucky and honestly privileged that I was able to secure this job for hopefully 2 years. And overall, this year has been interesting. I think I've handled it as best I could. But yeah, with this quarantine, it's just been really hard. I feel kind of disappointed that I missed out on something, but really I feel more I guess sad for like my siblings who are young. Do they know what's going on? Like, do they understand what's happening? Like, there's a pandemic. It's a global pandemic. Like, I can really, think about it and be introspective, but with them, they're just not in school as often. They're kind of, missing their friends. They can't hug their friends. They can't do things as often anymore. So I feel sorry for them most of all, or even people in high school, really, who are missing out on all those fun high school things like prom. I love my prom, so imagine just not being able to go. I feel sorry for them and like incoming college freshmen. Like, imagine just all the stress with college in general, on top of all of this that's going on right now. So I honestly feel blessed and lucky that I was leaving college when all this started happening. I was in my last year, and I have a good job now. So overall I feel great. Like, I'm really blessed and lucky that this has happened to me. But I just feel this pandemic, I'm not sure how it's going to end. But I'm really looking forward for it to end.
So for me, graduating or going through this whole situation with school and a pandemic has been equally as difficult as she stated. Especially, they had canceled our graduation back in, my original graduation date was May 16th. And they canceled it. And I knew they were going to, but it was so disappointing. And it was so disappointing. I actually wrote the academic affairs person and said, hey, I don't care when I graduate, but we're going to have a graduation because of the fact that I'm getting a doctoral degree. And my doctoral degree is very important, just like somebody's associate's degree is very important. And for me, I needed to be hooded. And they said we will work out a date. We will get a date for everybody to graduate, even if it means you just graduate in July or graduate in December or even graduate in 2021. I said I don't care what year it is. I'm coming back to graduate because this is so important to me for my kids to see their mother get something that is so that we don't get. Black people don't, not that black people don't get doctoral degrees, because we do. But for one, having a doctoral degree represents only 3% of the U.S. population. So only 3% of the U.S. population has a doctoral degree, and I was able to achieve that through single parenting and all. So it was a testament of what I have done. So I was very disappointed. Plus, we're supposed to have a doctoral dinner to recognize us for our awards and accomplishments and stuff like that. Well, it got canceled. So just like she said, I was looking forward to being with my cohort. And the other people I'm supposed to graduate with, and being able to say, okay, my name is Dr. Marida, P now. So it was a bittersweet, but the thing is, we did have graduation. I already have the video for graduation up. It was a great day. It was hot, but it was a great day for me. And that's we're gonna wrap this video up. The one last thing I want to ask her was, we both graduated. This is ironic, actually. We both graduated in 2020. And I don't think we ever really thought about it being that way, because I think originally she was supposed to graduate a year ago, but because of something that happened, or a semester or so ago, maybe a year ago, but because of things that happened with her classes and how classes are available sometimes and sometimes not, it got pushed back and her degree changed and all that. But we never really thought about the fact that we were both graduating this year, probably until this year, maybe, that we was like, oh, we're going to graduate in 2020. So my last question for her is, what did you think about that? What did you think about the fact that we were both graduating? I graduated with my doctoral degree, and she's graduating with her 3 degrees, which she already told you what they all are, in the same year. Really, actually, technically, the same semester. We both kind of post-graduated the same time. We were just up here trying to hope and pray that the dates would not be the same. So how do you feel about, we graduated in a pandemic, we graduated in the same year, and how do you feel about that?
Well, I personally think it's pretty remarkable. Like, I like bragging about my mom. Like, I say, like, yeah, she used to work at Austin P. She just finished her doctoral degree. So, like, it's just fun bragging about it. I feel, I think education is very important. But it just feels so, like, awesome to have, like, a mom who's, like, still in college and, like, still wants to pursue things and doesn't stop at a bachelor's degree. Nothing wrong with that. If you choose to stop, that's fine. But I just think it's awesome that, like, she chose to continue on, and I have, like, such a good role model. Like I said, I really like bragging, like, to, like, my coworkers and my boyfriend especially, because like his family, they're all military, which is fine, but like my mom just finished her doctoral degree and we graduated at the same time, so I mean, get on our level. But
yes.
I don't know, it sounds arrogant, but I just love bragging about it because I just feel like we have like such that connection, like education is just so important in our family. Plus, my mom has told me several times, like my grandparents, her mom, they didn't even finish high school. So I think it's really remarkable that from those beginnings, look where we are now. Like, things are great. So I'm proud, and I can't wait for my own hooding when I eventually get my doctoral degree. She's going to be right there in front taking pictures.
Taking pictures.
So I'm really proud. I think it's awesome.
So I the same, and I think for me it's more so it's not a bittersweet, it's actually a great thing because of the fact that again, as I've stated time and time again, it's really a testament of what I've endured. And it's not, her, and not to be, I guess, bragging per se, but her outcome has a lot to do with my income in terms of what I put into her. So not financial per se, but what I put in is what you get out. And so and not to say that I could have been a terrible parent. I could have been just like her father and do absolutely nothing. And she still could have ended up this way, because sometimes that's just how children are. I come from parents who didn't have a high school education, but even though they couldn't show me, they pushed me. They're like, Nope, we want better for you. Education, 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 better for you. And so therefore, I'm like, you know what? I want better for her and her siblings as well. And so, like I told you, and not that we're going to go into all this, but we have moved from county to county to county for them to go to the best schools that I could have them go to, because I never couldn't afford private school for 4 kids. So I've always I've always moved to wherever I need to move to make sure that she went to a school that would be conducive to her having a good education, so that so she could have the opportunity she has today, that we're speaking of today. So for me, it was great to sit there and say, okay, me and my daughter graduated the same year, the same semester, technically, from college. And so, me as a graduate student, her as undergrad with 3, I'm still shocked about the 3 degrees in less than 4 years. Who does that? That's what I'm so proud of, in addition to the fact that she graduated. And I remember her even saying, when it came to graduation, at one point she was like, if I walk, I'll walk, or whatever. I'm like, nope, you find out the date to that graduation, because you walking, because you need to understand that this closes that chapter. It finalizes that chapter for you. And there's nothing wrong with being able to showcase that, yes, I did it. There's nothing wrong with that. And I did it. I did it in the midst of a pandemic. No matter what, I still did it. And here we are. Had all her cords on, her Trinidad stole, what's it called? Stole, yeah, Trinidad stole, because she did to study abroad. I forgot all about the study abroad thing. I remember taking her to the airport that day, and I'm kind of like, oh, she's going to school. I've never did any of this. I have never done any of this. So literally, she's doing everything that I never got a chance to do. And that's how it should be when it comes to your kids. Not that I'm trying to push her to do something I didn't want to, that I didn't want to do. I just couldn't, because I had her and her sister. So again, hopefully this has been insight for you about what it's been like for why I push education, insight as to what her life was like growing up. It was not easy, but like she said, there was good points, there was bad points, and it is what it is. And so anyway, we're going to finish with our shirt. So we got these shirts made. It says Austin P State University. It says Educated Queen, which is what we are. And at the bottom it says, let me see if I can show you.
Proud of my roots.
Proud of my roots. So Austin P State University, Educated Queen, proud of my roots. And so we both have this shirt because, like I said, we are now both, she's following in my footsteps in that sense, that she is now Austin P alumni, just like I am. We're very proud of our education at Austin P State University. I have no qualms or issues, at least I don't. How do you feel that you just graduated? Do you feel like you had a good education at Austin P, or do you feel like you had a, well, let's just say there's issues at every school, but as a whole, our school is very much known for certain programs that it has, and it's known to put out good graduates who actually do work and work in their communities and serve well. We have a military community here as well, and so we are known for that as well. So we are very proud of or at least I'm very proud of my education. How do you feel about your education?
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed my time at Austin P. I felt like the professors really cared about me and my education, wanting me to do more than just, get a bachelor's or get a job somewhere. So I really enjoyed my time at Austin P. I was in the honors program and I was in the leadership program. So they really make sure we had more opportunities to do good in the community. So I really respect that about Austin P. Plus the study abroad opportunity was amazing. It was, we went to Trinidad to build the foundation of a house. And so the people in the leadership program and I, we all went down to Trinidad and just kind of helped this family kind of rebuild after the hurricane. So it was a really good opportunity. I did service learning trips. I did like physical activity trips. I went spelunking. I went like cave exploring. Actually in January for the quarantine, I went to a Civil War battlefield and just helped clean up with some other Austin P students. So I think Austin P has some great opportunities if you know where to look and if you go out and look for them. So I really enjoyed my education. I had a good time at Austin P.
All right, so this wraps up our video. We have P Pride because we are now Austin P alumni. And I'm excited to welcome her in terms of the APSU alumni with her mom and my sister, who I'll show a video, not a video, but a picture of me, my sister, and Asia when we are all graduates. My sister graduated in 1981. So like I told you, she graduated when I was 3 from Austin P State University. She has a degree in psychology, and she has, I think, a minor or something in special education that she did. And then, of course, I am Austin P alumni, class of 2002, 2004, and 2008 with my master's in nursing education. I got my BSN in 2004, and like I said, my bachelor's in psychology in 2002. And now we have Asia here in class of 2020, again with 3 degrees from that from my alma mater. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I will have my IG on here, so you can follow me if you want to follow my journey. Definitely watch this video, subscribe, like, comment, share. I think this video is very important to share for the reasons are multifaceted, and it's because of the fact that I think people need to see that Black women do get educated. Number one, actually Black women are the top holders of bachelor's degrees in the U.S. Just so you all know, Black women hold the most degrees. We hold the degrees. So we out here getting educated, and I want you to see what happens when a mom and a daughter do just that, and they go and get educated, and they are changing the world, leveling up step by step. So you never know. You may see us come back and do a video in 2022 talking about, hey, we better start a master's program. You never know. I always say, for me, and I've always said this, there is no ceiling for me. No ceiling for me. There's a floor, but there's no ceiling. That basically means I don't stop anywhere. I keep going until I feel like, okay, I'm just going to keep going until I die. That's just what you do. You know, I have all these credentials. I have all these letters behind my name. I'm Dr. Marida P now. You know, it is what it is. There's no ceiling for me. We keep going. As you hear, she's only 22 years old, and she's talking about down the road getting a master's and eventually a doctoral degree, because she's thinking ahead. She's thinking towards the future. You have to be a future thinker, a future planner. And that's something I've also instilled in her. Plan for your future. What is your 5-year goal? What is your 10-year goal? You know, she already said in 40 years she will have a practice. So she's going to be 62 years old with a practice. Hopefully we get that practice in maybe in her 40s instead of her 60s, or maybe even late 30s, because she's only 22. So in her late 30s, she could actually by the time you're 30, you could have her own practice if you think about it, if you went to school back to back to back. But maybe mid to late 30s, she could have her practice instead of her early 60s. And by the time she's 60 something, she could be thinking about retiring, enjoying life by then. Maybe she'll have grandchildren by then, who knows. So anyway, it's limitless what you could do with what you want to do. Take it from us. I was a single parent. Actually, I'm a single parent yet again, because I'm getting divorced, which is wonderful. And I'm not bragging about getting a divorce, but once you come out of a bad situation and you get your freedom, you understand what I'm talking about from that situation. But anyway, I'm going into a new career. I started it last Friday. Definitely watch those videos as well. Also, watch my last video on my last video at the hospital. I actually took care of a COVID patient, so go watch that if you haven't seen that one yet. But until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.